Hi there and welcome. This is Doug Diamond, owner of Diamond Disc Audio and Diamond Digital Media, based in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm going to work on L.A. Marzulli's latest film, UFO Disclosure number 6. So it's number 6 in the series. It's called Cattle Mutilations, and what I thought I would do is show you my audio mixing and mastering process that I use when a film like this is handed off to me. So let's jump right into the editing program. This is what I use, and I'm currently utilizing Sony Vegas, which is a really good multi-track video editing and mixing, audio mixing platform. Been using it for many years, and I just enjoy the way that it works, and I know a lot of the functionality part of it. So that's one reason I've chosen this versus Final Cut or some of the other well-known video editing platforms. So we're going to be using this, and then also SoundForge, which is another Sony product. Sony has sold SoundForge and Vegas now. A different company owns those. But my versions of these actually are the Sony versions. I feel like the newer versions of these programs are a little buggier, so I kind of stuck with the Sony versions. So anyway, let's jump right into it without wasting any time here. I know LA is definitely waiting for this project, so I want to get this done and send it to him. So what he sends me, as far as when he delivers files to me, is the two tracks you see on the top here that are switched on. These other ones that are darkened out are muted, so we can see them, but we are not going to hear them right now. So this is the audio mix that goes with this main video track. So when I play this back, you'll be able to hear it. Just know that the audio mix that we're hearing is actually LA's rough mix. So it's what he sent me when he sent the files to me. He sent me a video that had his audio mix in it, and then all of the individual tracks separately of the dialogue. This is just the speaking and the music, as well as the sound effects. So everything's separate. And they're separate so I can control the different volumes between the different tracks, so that hopefully one thing isn't too loud versus something else, if that makes sense. So we're going to try and mix it, which means balance it out as good as possible. But before we can do that, we're going to do some cleanup. So that's where I'm starting in this process. So this is again, this is the rough mix that we're looking at, and I don't really need it other than for a reference. So if I have any questions, I can always go back to LA's rough mix of the recording. But in this case, I'm going to mute his rough mix and just work with the individual tracks that he sent me. So we're going to start with the dialogue, because if you know what you're looking at here, this is the audio waveform. You can see perhaps that there are some issues with the audio. So I can tell right away that I'm going to need to do some further work on the audio to get it up to where it needs to be and sounding as good as it possibly can. Because a lot of times, you know, when you're on set, when you're recording things, it's hard to get all the different shots and hard to get, you know, perfect microphone experience where you're capturing the audio exactly as you want it to be. You almost never get a studio type situation when you're on location recording things. So what we're going to do is we're going to take his audio and clean it up as good as it can possibly be, and probably run some denoising and things like that if we need to. So, and I've had to do that on previous projects, so I'm only guessing that I'll need to do that as well on here. So here we go. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this program in SoundForge, this audio track. So let's jump over to SoundForge. SoundForge is an audio-only editor. It doesn't edit video necessarily. It's really just for editing audio and mastering audio, if you will. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to be in here kind of cleaning things up, and I'm probably ultimately going to remove a few of the wait times where the computer is processing audio, just because I don't want you guys to have to wait through everything that I'm waiting through to get through this. So hopefully in the end, the final video that I hand off to LA hopefully it'll be a little bit shorter than the version that was recorded in real time with me working on the project, if that makes sense. So if it takes from 0 to 100% to process something, I might kind of skip past some of that just to save you guys some time. So that's what I'll try and do. We'll see how it goes. My computer's doing a lot of things here. It's basically doing a recording that's at full 1080p with camera and audio, in addition to running the actual editing programs and doing that processing too. So I'm doing a lot of things all here at one time. So just so you guys know. All right, so here we go. So let's work on the audio. I'm going to start with first just checking some places. You'll hear me jumping around, and that is totally normal. I'm just going to try and see what I'm dealing with. And the main thing I'm going to want to do is I can tell by looking at some of his audio, it's pretty hot, meaning it is really loud in places.
And I'm like going, and of course I'm just like not trying to, be afraid, because they can pick up on that. It's interesting.
So I can tell that I can probably back some of that off. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a normalize process on this, which may or may not bring it down from where it is. Let's see what happens. Okay, normalize is done, and it didn't really change anything, which is sort of what I figured would happen. So what I'm going to do is, I've got a plug-in here that I like to use that's called declipper, and I'm going to run this declipper on this so that hopefully it will bring down some of these peaks that are really loud.
And because the rancher's fine.
Yeah, nothing's happening to him.
Nothing's happening to him. But
so what I want to do is highlight this whole thing again, and I'm going to run this declipper on it. This is a setting that I use that I typically will have really good success with. So let's see what happens. Okay, I ran the audio clipper, and you can see that many of the peaks were restored on the original audio, which will make it sound less crunchy, less hot.
Have to know that there could be a virus, a viral
Pathogen, something like that.
All right, so what we're going to do is, you can see that you may have noticed when I played that, it's only in the right channel, because we want it to be in quasi mono or in both channels. In other words, we don't want it to only be in the right channel. And most of the rest of the audio, as you can see, is in both channels.
So obviously, well, not obviously.
But this down here is also only in the right channel.
And I think it's part to create this artificial room for the...
So what we're going to need to do is isolate these sections by using markers so that I can get in here and fix the sections that are right channel only.
Mutilations. So I'm here with Chuck Sikowski.
So I'm going to put in some markers here just to kind of marker it off and give myself
Topic.
some guidelines to go by here. So that those two markers marks the beginning and ending of this section. I'm going to do the same thing down here.
Cows, decades ago.
So here is where it jumps to right channel only. I'm going to put a marker there and another one down here.
These guys.
And you might notice the this big long gap of space here between where this talking finishes.
I don't like these guys.
And where the next talking picks up.
Before I get into the rap here,
which is 13 seconds. Well, why is that blank? It's because we're only looking at the audio, or the audio of the dialogue track. So we're only looking at the dialogue track right now. We're not looking at the music track. There's probably music in there. So we'll get to that. Yeah, okay, so everything's looking good. The film looks and sounds fantastic. So the next thing I will do is render this out to a MP4 file and send it to LA for his approval. And then if anything needs to be changed, we'll go back and tweak those things at that point. But yeah, I invite you to watch the full film. You can get it at lamarzulli.net. So thanks for joining me today. You can find my mastering and mixing business at diamonddiscaudio.com. The link is in the upper left corner. And my news show that I do, it's a weekly news broadcast based on Christian principles, but in the context of the end times. And that is the Diamond Report, which is in the upper right corner up there. The diamond.report is where that is. That just takes you to my Rumble channel. I appreciate your subscribing. Thank you very much. And yeah, I do live broadcasts on the Diamond Report every Sunday night. And we'll look forward to seeing you then. Thanks so much.